Hey guys, welcome back. It is week 6. Been an exciting several weeks of being with you guys, learning how to study the Bible, learning how to pray, learning how to know God. Let me turn my phone down. And all of the things that come with that. I've just been super excited about where we're at and what we're learning. In this particular lesson, what we're going to be looking at and looking into is turning. I'm trying to decide how I want to best say this, but what we want to do is take your skills for Bible study, your desire to know God, living with Him in prayer and getting to know Him through prayer, and just your increased knowledge of the nature and the character of God. And the hope is that we begin to build in us as we know God more and more and more, that it'll build in us this faith that leads us to this unwavering obedience, and I would even call it unshakable dependence on God in every aspect of our lives. Knowing who He is should breed in us faith and confidence. And before we though get too far into week 6, just like we did last week and even the week before, we're going to continue making the shift from an instructional pattern where I do all the talking. There'll be some of that, but into where you take some scriptures, doing some self-discovery, doing discussion in the class. So don't snark out on those. Be sure you're getting those done as we move through the class this week. In the last 2 sections, we've kind of learned and figured out that the more we know about the nature and the character of God, the more that we find ourselves, loving others, serving others. And it brings about this ability and this desire to love God in a very sacrificial way as we serve other people. And that's the rail that we travel on this way to being transformed into the image of Christ. That's the pathway, is the service to others. And then as we do that and we learn to have more faith, more than just a saving faith, a faith that sustains us through our day. And that turns into obedience and dependence on God. I heard somebody say one time that if serving others is the rail that the train's traveling on, then this faith and obedience and dependence would be the cars that we're traveling in. The culture that you and I live in, we very well know that it's built on self-reliance, it's built on independence, and often skepticism, which can be healthy and unhealthy. But the life of a follower of Jesus is actually following a completely different fork in the road. In this section, during this week, we're going to focus on 3 very important aspects of what it means to grow in the knowledge of God's Son, to grow in the maturity with the stature that Paul says in Ephesians 4:13, a stature that's measured by Christ's fullness. The goal that we're looking for in learning about God and being transformed into the image of Jesus is to grow into a maturity, the stature of which, the amount of which is measured by the fullness that we have of Christ in Christ and the fullness we have of Him in us. And this week we're going to talk about faith, obedience, and dependence. And as we move into the rest of this lesson each time, as we did a couple of weeks ago and we've done through week 5, the discussion questions have been moved out of a form where only I can see it and into a mixture of classroom discussion and private discussion, so that you can have a little bit more visibility. But on those classroom discussion ones, be sure that you answer those questions and then reply to some of your classmates so that we can foster some online discussion in lieu of being there together in class. It's going to be an exciting time as we study faith, obedience, and dependence on God. I'll see you in the next video.